be New England. Orange. Rock salamander. Crawls out when the rain falls. Oh, shit.
The tech came early this week. We are going to Quakecon right now. Like, while you're watching this, we are on an airplane to go to Quakecon, unless you're watching this in 2 weeks, in which case we've just come back from Quakecon, and yay, you should have watched the footage. I hope you did. So, Quakecon's going to be a lot of fun this year. And I have no idea what to expect. I've not been, like, looking up a lot of information about what's going to be happening at Quakecon. I've not been really figuring out, like, who's going to be there. I've not really put much effort into anything other than the fact that we're going to be there, and we're going to make a video called the Quakecon Experience, so we could just share our entire experience with you guys, a lot of behind the scenes. Albert's going to be there again, so that's going to be fun. And we'll also do an episode of WASD from there, because it's only appropriate with Albert and Kane and Jimmy and I, and possibly Wendell as well. Maybe, if you want. Maybe.
How's it going? I don't know.
All right, more announcements. Special thanks to V1 Tech. They're our sponsor. And these guys are crazy. They've got a new website coming soon. They're going to have a lot of custom products on there, just all kinds of interesting things. And we'll give you guys more information, of course, when we're at QuakeCon. Here's what I'm really looking forward to seeing, their Elder Scrolls Online case that they've done. It's kind of ridiculous. So there'll be a lot of fun things to do. And I'm sure we'll get to play some games with those guys as well. And yes, the store is alive. Here's the store. It was alive yesterday for like an hour. And then all of a sudden, Stripe was like, oh my God, there's like 1 million orders happening at one time. It must be robots trying to steal credit card information. And they shut us down. I got an email saying, like, we've disconnected your account. It's very fishy and our hands are tied. And then you guys came to the rescue and you guys started tweeting at Stripe. And I was shocked. Within like literally 15 minutes, the guys from Stripe were like, we're very sorry. Everything is back on. Your account is live. Go have fun. Come see us when you're in San Francisco. We'll hang out. And I was like, holy crap. At first I was like, man, I'm angry at Stripe. But like, I'm going to say thanks to Stripe and thanks to everybody on Twitter for making the store work. But there's all our stuff. We got a bunch of t-shirts. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Those of you that are loading the store right now to buy things, please. It's like, okay, I'm going to need, if your last name begins with A through J, you can go. But if your last name begins with, K through Q, you're going to have to wait about 20 to 30 minutes. And if your last name begins with a letter that comes after Q, you're going to need to wait at least an hour before you use the store. Thanks.
We got our Cherry MX keycaps, Wendell. Check these out. We've got some in the size that's appropriate for the escape key. It would possibly work on the F keys as well. And then we also got the size that works for the Control-Alt Super keys, sometimes the function keys, depending on the keyboard. But these are Cherry MX compatible keycaps with the Epic logo on them. They're not compatible with backlighting, but I've got one on the Escape key on my K70 keyboard, and I think it looks awesome. So we've got those in today as well, and lots of new T-shirts, especially these NSA T-shirts. I cannot wait until the NSA bothers us about these T-shirts. Like, I'm really looking forward to their phone call saying like, hey guys, you guys are using a logo that looks a lot like our logo, but it's not our logo clearly because it's funny. So, yeah. Anyway.
We might also do one-off items where there's literally, it's one-of-a-kind items, but it's mostly just to support us. Like, we would put it in the store and it would probably be like, $50 to $500, but it would be something that you buy to support us and not really anything that's actually valuable. So it's like I'm going through my old computer collection and it's like, oh, I've got an L40SX that we can sign and give away. And it's like, here's an L40SX laptop we're going to put in the store for $300.
I don't know. I might put something that's of value in there. Who knows what I can find? Maybe if I've got like 50 SSDs, maybe I'll sign a few of them. No, I should give those away. I don't know. If I find anything that's really interesting and possibly of value, maybe I'll throw it in there too. Because now that we have full control of the store, we can throw one-of-a-kind things on there and who knows what else. So it's going to be fun. Just keep an eye on the store and it'll be lots of fun things happening. All right.
We'll give away useful stuff, but we'll have contests and sell the Esoterica.
Yeah, there you go. Because no one's going to enter a contest for Esoterica, but that one guy who really wants something esoteric and interesting is going to go on there and grab it up and then, tell his posterity about it in years to come. All right, let's talk about the things related to the tech, like cat facial recognition technology. Who needs cat recognition technology. Well, there's a new crowdfunded project, and it's called Bistro. And what they're trying to do here is they're trying to figure out. They basically created this when one of the owners had multiple cats, and then one of the cats had a disorder where it wasn't eating and drinking properly, and it just flopped over. So they built this little machine where the cat sticks its head inside, as you guys can see here on the screen, and then when it eats and drinks, it maps the face and then gives you information about which cats have had enough food or had too much food or possibly are trying to eat themselves into an early grave, So now there is facial recognition on cats. Cats will be surveilled everywhere. The NSA will be collecting data on cats on the internet, following your cat patterns on the internet. Cat patterns are a key thing to look for in nerd behavior on the internet. Many hackers start by editing pictures of cats, and the next thing you know, they're hackers trying to break into the NSA database. That's just a fact that I know from my heart of hearts. I don't know.
This is not the first time I've seen this technology. The first time I saw this technology was several years ago. Some guy had hooked up a cheap webcam to an electronic pet door, and when the cat was trying to enter through the pet door, it would take a picture of the cat's silhouette, and if there was a rodent in the cat's mouth, it would not open the pet door.
Because that would be a catastrophe.
Yeah. The guy got tired of the catastrophic dead animals everywhere when they got home.
Oh God! I want to put a joke in there about a catalytic converter, but it will just not fit. It won't fit in there. But I want it to happen. All right, let's take a look at this new Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner. This thing is doing stuff that fighter jets do. Let me turn this down. But yeah, this video pleases me to watch this commercial jetliner take off and shoot up at a 60-degree angle. It's so awesome. And then it does these hard banks and stuff. Look at that. Yes. I don't know why I get so excited. I want to fly in this thing. I want to fly in this thing over an uber futuristic city like, I don't know, Shanghai or something like that. Yeah, that would be... This bothers me. This bothers my brain watching this. But anyway, yeah, they're showing off their new airplane here. I don't think they'll actually be doing maneuvers like this with a full, with full cargo and passengers on board, unless you really ask. This will be only on midnight flights.
Seats.
No. This is how they're going to fly at 3 in. Hey, everybody's asleep, Randy. What do you say? What do you say we try some maneuvers? Yeah, they should call this the Maneuver Jet 9000 or whatever. Anyway, that's just fun to watch. All right, let's get serious, guys. We have too much fun. If you have too much fun, we're going to have to cancel the whole show. So let's talk about Obama and how he thinks that he owns all the information in the world. So here's what's going down right now. Microsoft has offices all over the world, of course, and the Department of Justice and Obama and all those guys, whoever, NSA, they really want some stuff that Microsoft has, but is located on a server in Dublin. So they've served, subpoenas and all that stuff, and Microsoft said, well, listen, this is outside of the USA. Therefore, it is outside of your jurisdiction. And everyone's freaking out about it, and even the courts, the freaking judges are siding with the U.S. government, saying, like, it doesn't matter where it is. If we serve the proper subpoenas, you have to give us this information. So, I mean, to me, that's like kicking down the door of somebody else's house in some other country and expecting them to be beholden to the rules of the country that I'm from. That just makes no sense to me. So, and with this, I mean, think about the global implications for violation of other countries' laws. If Obama and the DOJ and all those guys get their way, they'll basically just be violating international law all over the place and taking data from any server they want to because they served a subpoena in the USA to a company. I guess the catch here is that Microsoft is a company that operates in the USA, and that's sort of where they're tying it all together and saying, listen, if you're operating in the USA, it doesn't matter where the data is, we get it. I don't know. So it's disturbing, but I'll be interested. Go ahead.
At the same time, the thing here in the brief from Microsoft said that most often the email is stored on the server closest to the user, and so that suggests that the user is in Dublin, Ireland. I mean, on the one hand, but on the other hand, sovereign nations. So what are they going to do with that? You know, there was the case a couple of years ago where the U.S. was trying to extradite somebody for copyright violations from the U.K., and it all occurred on U.K. soil, and the U.K. had already looked at it and said, okay, kid, you should stop doing that, and that was the end of it. And then the court system here was like, no, we need to extradite him. We need to put him in prison for years. And there was a lot of uproar about that because it was, you know, it's like, are we not a sovereign nation anymore? Is that not how this works? So this is a little shady, but it's not atypical for this administration to be like, no, we have a global reach. We must take over the world. So
let's check out our sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is a website that allows you to build very clean websites that put your content forward, and that's really, in my opinion, all you need when you're making a website. It's all about you and your content, and that's exactly what we have here. So I'll let you guys check out some of the templates here. Now, the way it works is you start with a template, and you fill in your content, and then the template basically comes to life. It's really good if you have a client who needs something with a quick turnaround time that puts their content forward. Another thing that's interesting is it's not just about canned templates, and there's no bubbly nonsense that gets in the way. And you also have full control of the back end. There's Git access, so you can log in and do whatever you want. And there's also template control right here in the right in the GUI. So another thing that's interesting is they work with shops. So there's full e-commerce going on here. It's good for photographers, artists, musicians. Let me go ahead and let you check this out. It hooks up with Bandcamp on the back end, or you can just upload songs here and then use the commerce package to link it up and then sell your music right here, make money on the website. We're actually using this for our own store, but I'm really pleased with the different options that you have here when putting together your store. And again, it's clean, it's all our content, and no nonsense. There's a lot more that you guys can do with this. I mean, and there's even now they're adding ways to help you create logos and everything. So there's a ton you can do with it. I recommend you check it out. And again, we are using this ourselves, so we do endorse Squarespace. Now back to the regularly scheduled tech. Well, the UN has actually started making some noise about this, and I'm not sure if the UN has any power anymore. I mean, they're mostly a group that seems to sit back and say like, okay, we'll do whatever, but you guys stop it and be better and start following international law and stop blowing people up for no reason. Come on, guys, stop it. So that's where I see the UN as far as their power goes. They don't seem to actually be able to exercise much of that power or exercise much of their, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't seem like they're able to punish anybody or anything like that, but they're raising their voice and they're saying, hey, all this surveillance is getting out of control on a global scale, and they're saying this, the secret rules and the secret interpretations of law may not actually qualify as law, and they're really screaming about privacy, and they're saying that all this capture of the communications of data, they're saying that it's an interference with privacy. And at the end, they end their statement by saying that all countries should immediately start to review their digital surveillance practices and bring them in line with international rights standards. Do you think that anyone's going to care or listen to the UN is my question. I don't know. What do you think?
No.
No, just going to be like, these guys are yelling and complaining. Who cares?
It's like, pay attention, Angela Merkel. These things are happening in other countries in the EU, and nothing happened really in Germany. I mean, there was outrage, but it's really a paper tiger because the Germans were in on it, and the Germans were in on the NSA and to the extent that it benefited them. And then it was like, wait a minute, you're using it against our politicians too? Oh, the outrage. And so it's good that the citizenry was outraged, but it was pretty much business as usual for the administration there as well. And I don't really see that as a lot different here. The only difference may be that the scale of crime that they're concerned about is going increasingly down the ladder. I mean, pretty soon it's going to be like jaywalking. We need to search your email for evidence of wrongdoing.
It's already happening in some places in the world. All right. You ready to talk about Comcast and all that stuff? We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about Comcast. It's going to be funny. There's also some Verizon stuff in there, and then the FCC coming up. But the first thing that's kind of interesting, there was a company called Skydog, and Skydog was making this somewhat innovative router, not in the terms of features, because most of these features are already available on a lot of routers. Even some standard consumer routers have a lot of these features. It's just that they're really difficult to get at, like creating separate networks for a guest that's completely locked down, and setting up rules that certain websites can't be accessed, or setting up rules that someone can only access websites from this time of day to this time of day. So Skydog took that whole idea of all the different access restrictions and that sort of thing and turned it into a dedicated router that you buy, and then you hook it up and control it with your iPhone or your Android phone or tablet. So it's really easy. And Comcast took a look at this, and they were like, huh, really, really easy to control all this stuff. You can control what people access at what time? Interesting. So Comcast bought the damn company. Started off as a Kickstarter campaign. Now Comcast owns this company. Now it's going to be really easy for Comcast to be in your home, messing with everything. Because before, before Comcast really had control, not on a router level, but on like a level that was sort of outside of your house. I mean, they had the modem in your house, of course, but that was really only seeing one signal. It was seeing, a few things, but now they're going to be able to control almost on an individual room level. Like, oh, you're in the living room. Well, in the living room, you can watch these things, but if the living room only has rights management, I'm just thinking like crazy right now, Wendell. Like, what if they started being like, oh, you guys are in the living room on the living room TV, according to the router. Well, listen, you guys have access to these things, but this is a multi-user area, and you're going to have to pay more for rights to certain things. But on your computer, you've got rights to different things. I'm just making stuff up, but who knows?
That may sound far-fetched, but it's probably not far off, because AT&T, one of the first companies that introduced data caps and all that kind of stuff, AT&T had a real problem because their data caps were very low, but they also had a very hard time educating the user on what was going on. And, they had resorted to injecting JavaScript into unencrypted web pages that you visit to let you know what was going on with your quota, and just crazy, Orwellian things like that. This technology is cool because it gives people more insight into what's going on their home network, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but that it is controlled by Comcast is a very bad thing. I can tell you that there is a certain large ISP in America that is selling combination modems and routers. Like, you don't need a router anymore. They sell you a modem that has built-in wireless and, one device, and it's more convenient.
Comcast does that on some things. Comcast actually gave me one of those things, and I got rid of it so fast. Go ahead.
Comcast, Time Warner, a lot of Charter, all of the major cable companies do it. But I can tell you for a fact, one of those is selling data about your LAN. See, the first three, an Ethernet MAC address, every Ethernet address on the planet is unique, basically. And an Ethernet MAC address is like a 12-digit serial number. Your phone has one, your laptop has one, desktop computer, set-top box, all this stuff. Every device that can talk to your network has a MAC address. And the first three digits tell you the manufacturer. I can tell you for a fact that there's at least one ISP that is selling the list of devices on your home network, those first three letters, for marketing statistics to know how many of what kind of devices you own. Like, they can tell if you have a Roku, they can tell if you have a Netflix, they can tell if you have like one of the Netflix set-top boxes, they can tell you if you have a Chromecast, they can tell you if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, all the devices on your network. And that marketing data is very valuable, and they are right now today selling that.
I want to play just a second of this video here. And while I'm playing this video, it's part of their Kickstarter campaign, but in your brain, every time they say Skydog, I want you to replace the word Skydog with Comcast and just see how freaking scary this is. So I'll turn it up just a little bit.
About all the connected devices in your home.
All right.
Now you can see who's on your home network and the signal quality of every Wi-Fi device in use. Skydog can send you text alerts for events you care about. You can also personalize the performance, security, and internet access limits for each user. Basically, Skydog helps you deal with your home network in a new and better way, even as your family's internet needs change. You can be away from home and get a text when your child has an unexpected friend over who signs on to the guest network. You can create a watch list of websites for Skydog to keep track of across all of your kids' devices, and have Skydog send an alert to them as they approach their agreed-upon limits for things like gaming or social media.
Do you hear that? Have Skydog send an alert to them when they've reached their agreed-upon limits. So,
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, just go, guys, go watch the whole video and just replace the word Skydog with Comcast, because Comcast owns them now, and then just be like, oh shit. So, I'm telling you guys how to feel. Yeah. All right, what else do we have to talk about? Oh, more Comcast. This is hilarious. So, this week, Ryan Block. Now, Ryan Block is formerly the head of Engadget, founder of GDGT, and I guess now he works at AOL. But anyway, he called up Comcast. His wife was on the phone for a long time, and then he transferred over. And the guy would not let him cancel his Comcast subscription. Just was giving him so much hell. It's the call is farcical and borderline hilarious. I made a skit recently with someone else, and we did this whole thing with a phone call to Comcast. We were just pretending, and I was going to put it online, but this is so much better that our skit is now irrelevant because the real thing is so much funnier. I kind of feel bad about that because we actually made this entire thing where I'm sitting there on the phone with someone from Comcast, or we called it from Timecast, but you guys get the idea. So I don't know, are there any key things you want to highlight on this, or you just tell everybody to go listen to it? I'm sure everyone on the internet has heard this and yelled and screamed. It's freaking scary and hilarious, and I could not believe it was real. But
if you like the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or you like watching train wrecks in slow motion, this call is for you.
I mean, some of the stuff the guy was saying, the guy be like, I want to cancel. He'd be like, well, I just don't understand why you'd want to leave the number one provider in the country. And he would be like, well, I'm canceling. He's like, oh, well, sir, I really just can't let you go to an inferior company. Like, it's just awesome. Just sadly awesome. So anyway, Comcast has said that it's embarrassed. Totally embarrassed, and it's not their training, and they're going to investigate and take action, which probably means they're going to be like, don't do that again. Hey man, stop it. I don't know, if they fire the guy, that would be good, but I mean, they've already got the worst customer service on the planet, statistically, based upon the customer's feedback, so I don't know what they're going to do. So the FCC, they were taking comments about net neutrality on their website, and they've decided to extend the time because they're getting a flood of comments right at the end. And it's kind of interesting. 780,000 comments have been submitted about net neutrality, so they're completely flooded. But they're not as flooded as they were when Janet Jackson had a wardrobe malfunction at the Super Bowl. They received like 1.4 million comments about a nip slip. And we're talking about the future of the internet here. And it's like about half as many comments. Oh God, no. The people in the USA are more worried about a millisecond nip slip than they are about the future of the internet? What? I'm beside myself, Wendell.
You did see that Rupert Murdoch offered to buy Time Warner for $80 billion. So it's about control. It's not about, it's like we are slightly ahead of the curve on the internet, which is why there's only been 700,000 comments. The other 700,000 people that haven't caught on to the internet wave are waiting in the wings, and the companies are hoping that they can squeak by, but I'm hoping that our team will win against the evil, oppressive corporation conglomerate thingies.
So, it says 700,000 comments, but I logged on to the FCC thing here, and it's now saying 207,774 comments, so I'm not sure what happened to the other 500 and some thousand comments. They just magically vanished. Maybe there's a problem. So, yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, who knows? But, speaking of all these comments that have been made, Wendell, have you seen the time?
Uh-oh. Oh, no, it's Rant 30. It's going to be an epic Rant 30.
Wendell, do you know who submitted a 184-page comment to the FCC? Just take a wild guess.
Verizon?
It was Verizon that submitted a ridiculous, and it's comedy gold. Huh? It's comedy gold. I mean, 184 page. If this was like a comedy screenplay, it would win best comedy, hands down. It's hilarious. So, Wendell, go ahead. I'll let you go ahead and tell us what was in this, because you skimmed through most of this.
I found some really amazing choice comments that I just have to share. And I hate reading to you guys, but I'm going to read, and it's fine. So the most amazing thing is, in my best Verizon voice, Verizon has invested tens of billions of dollars to build our wired and wireless broadband networks, including more than $23 billion to construct our fiber optic Fios network since 2004. And we continue to expend large sums to improve and grow those networks. Yeah, but I got a question. How much of that was subsidized by taxpayer dollars? And wasn't the Fios network rolled out in 2004? So that would mean that it was when Title II communications applied to you. Huh.
Yeah, so they were able to use Title II to do all this stuff, and they were able to benefit from tons of tax breaks. So, guys, don't let this nonsense, seep into your head. we paid for most of the infrastructure costs of this because Verizon was promising that it would benefit us, as they've always done. They've said, hey, listen, it's going to benefit the people, and then as soon as they turn around, they snicker to themselves, they bought it, we're going to be so rich. It's exactly what happens. All right.
We found this article on CNET from 2005 where in 2005, before 2005, Verizon was classified as Title II. And in 2005, the FCC changed it. And so here's the CNET article. If you don't believe it and you want to go read it, it's like all this whole internet thing and everything up through 2005 and the whole initial rollout of FiOS was done under Title II. Title II, like we've been saying all along. They go on to say we're not going to do Title II, but there's more. It's comedy gold, Jerry.
Wait,
it's comedy gold.
There's more.
We must recoup these investments. The only way to do so is to win and retain customers. And the only way to do that is to offer them services and features that they demand, including access to content and applications they want to use. Well, but are they doing that with data cap madness and really poor service? Because Netflix slipped another 17% in June in terms of deliverability on the Netflix bandwidth report on Verizon. And Netflix is paying Verizon directly.
I know what's going on here. You know, Verizon owns Redbox, and Redbox streams just fine over the Verizon network.
Well, it's funny. They actually brought that up. That was their very next point, and their very next thing they said.
Well, how could they possibly...
just a few...
Go ahead. How could they possibly use that?
To provide just a few examples, Verizon, in partnership with Redbox, offers an over-the-top video service that is available over any broadband connection in the country. So wait. What you're saying is that Verizon can't provide even a 360p Netflix experience to their customers, but we can totally provide streaming with Redbox. It doesn't make any sense. It's a total non sequitur.
No, yeah, it's totally that. And also, Verizon, let's not forget, Verizon has already taken a lot of money from Netflix to improve the performance. And, of course, they've got a million excuses as to why it doesn't work, but the one that I'm interested in the most is their partnership with Redbox. I said they own Redbox, but they're more in cahoots with Redbox, so they're going to be benefiting monetarily from, making Redbox work a little faster.
Now, one of the other things that the FCC has actually said that they would like, that's apart from the whole Title I, Title II debate that we've been harping on forever, is transparency into how these companies operate their networks and what consumers experience. And so in that context, Verizon had this to say: there is a risk that some of the information that the Commission seeks to make available may be unintelligible to most users. The Commission has tentatively concluded that it should require that broadband providers disclose meaningful information regarding the source, location, timing, speed, packet loss, and duration of network congestion. It's like, whoa. They're literally saying, Verizon is literally saying here that don't pay attention to the 700,000 people that are commenting. They're morons. They have no experience running a multinational conglomeration. And if you just confuse them by telling them how badly we've congested the networks, it'll just lead to trouble. And we shouldn't talk about that. We should leave that out.
Yeah, that's their little clause there to discredit all 700,000 people who are freaking out and complaining. They're like, hey guys, we're the ones who are actually doing this stuff. You guys are just people sitting at home with your little brains. How could you possibly know how things work in the networkosphere?
And if we give you numbers and stats on what's going on our network, it'll just confuse you. You don't need that.
Yeah, your mini brain will explode. Oh, you bless your hearts. That is the summation of what that little piece says. All right, go ahead.
They went on to talk about the competition and how there's so much competition and people could just pick another provider and blah blah blah, and we all know that's horse pucky. But additionally, Verizon went on to say, additionally, Comcast reportedly offered a 250 megabit speed increase to compete with Google Fiber in Provo, Utah. In Kansas City, the entry of Google Fiber in 2012 compelled Time Warner Cable to increase download speed as all of its broadband service packages at no charge to consumers. So they seem to be arguing that because of that, they don't need any FCC intervention because, hey, the system works. People are upgrading. These are massive upgrades. But the question you have to ask is, why didn't those incumbents that were already there do that everywhere they operate, not just where they have competition? That argument would seem to be that because there is no competition, the incumbents will not upgrade. and they were only forced to upgrade after competition appeared from Google, which Google has invested significant money in here. This would seem to be the opposite of what they're arguing in this comment, which is, hey, no, it's cool. We're totally a fox in the hen house here. It's completely fine. That other place where, you know, the hen house got a bulldog, just ignore that. We totally need to be able to eat the chickens whenever we can.
Oh man, I don't even need to add anything to that. That's it.
I just don't understand.
They're arguing against themselves right there. If the reader is smart enough to actually understand what they're saying right there, they're arguing against their point. It makes no sense.
Now, if you skip ahead to page 152, because I don't have anything better to do than read 184 page and then talk about it with you guys on YouTube, because I don't have a life. It's fine. It's a gold nugget. It is solid gold, and so they're talking about how content providers like Netflix would let customers know that the problem was on Verizon's side. And so the actual quote from Verizon is, in fact, the content providers themselves would have an incentive to inform customers, you know, and the context of that is inform customers about poor situation in terms of network connectivity, congestion, and things like that. But wait a minute, didn't Netflix notify people on Verizon that they were congested, and then Verizon threatened to sue if Netflix didn't stop that?
So what they're saying here is like, listen, we really want people to and companies to speak up when the network is bad so that we can sue them. It's very simple.
Well, they went on to talk about that, and it's like, greater consumer choice of packages and services. Broadband providers offer a wide array of subscription plan choices to consumers, allowing users to pay for broadband access with the particular performance characteristics that they demand. And so, while I still don't agree with data caps, I think that there's, at least not like this, not in the current implementation, if we take their plans at face value with data caps, they're literally saying, oh, customers already have a choice of multiple plans. Unfortunately, none of the plans as implemented with Verizon offer a reasonable experience with Netflix. None of them. Not one of them. That's a problem.
You know, I think a lot of when I was looking through this this document, kind of the thing that I got, they really are against any regulation from the FCC, and they're kind of saying things like, listen, FCC, you're doing the right thing by ignoring it and letting us do whatever we want, and the only time that you should ever step in is if someone's head explodes, or if people have gone mad and they're shooting each other in the streets. Then maybe, just maybe, you guys should step in and do something. But until then, let us do our thing. And also the whole vocabulary here that they're using, they're leaving it wide open for, you know, a lot of different plans. There's already a lot of different plans, but they're leaving it wide open for the tiered plans and the data caps and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just it's a 184 page document that basically says to me, hey, listen, we just want to do what screws the customers but makes us money at the same time, and we don't want anyone to do anything about it, so please just leave us alone, let us screw people, and we'll give you money at the end of the year. Campaign contributions, Mr. Wheeler. You love those campaign contributions.
To add to the summary, there's two things in play here. The rules as proposed by Wheeler are supported by Comcast, AT&T, and Time Warner. That should tell you all you need to know about them to run the other way screaming as fast as you can. The other thing is that all of the internet infrastructure stuff for communications companies, not for cable companies, up through 2005 was already Title II. And Title II does have some really onerous, really restrictive requirements in terms of reporting, in terms of consumer reporting, like the reports about network quality and things like that. It even has provisions for open access to infrastructure, so that like competing companies would have to be given access to infrastructure in order to use that and that kind of thing. And so a lot of opponents are like, well, Title II doesn't really apply, and you know that's really bad, and blah blah blah. But you've got to keep in mind the FCC has the power of forbearance. It's up to the FCC to enforce the Title II rules. What that means is the FCC could reclassify as Title II and then just issue a memo and say, hey, these are the really restrictive rules. we're going to not pay attention to this rule, this rule, this rule, and this rule. We're not going to enforce those under Title II, and that's totally okay legally. And that's exactly what the court cases that have already happened with both Comcast and Verizon have said. The court has said, look, Title I is wide open. You can't, by memo, issue law. But under Title II, it's so restrictive that you can, by memo, issue loopholes for these specific companies. Those are the specific powers granted to the FCC. It is no more complicated than that. The argument really is not any more complex than that.
Bottom line, Wheeler's got to go. Wheeler has to go. The whole FCC commenting thing, guys, go and post your comments. They're looking at him. I don't think Wheeler's going to care at all because he's already been bought and paid for. And, you know, the big powers that be, as far as the cable industry goes, totally support Wheeler. So we've got to get rid of Wheeler. I'm not sure.
We've got a great letter in the forum, too. You can take the letter from the forum at techsyndicate.com. You can put your name on it and send it off. And it's like, hey, we should do the Title II thing because reasons.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Google for just a few minutes, and then we'll be done with this episode and back to doing whatever you guys do on the internet. I don't know. So Google has decided to add Bitcoin price conversions, and it's pretty easy to get a Bitcoin price conversion. You just put however many Bitcoin to euro or dollar or yen or whatever. Just type that into the search, and it'll come up just like all the other conversions. So that's kind of cool that they've done that. And let's see what else is new on Google. Oh yeah, Google Plus. So one of the guys behind Google Plus, I forgot his name, Vic Gondotra, I think his name is. Gondotra, I don't know. Anyway, he left the Google Plus. It was kind of his thing he was working on. He was one of the main guys from it. He left Google Plus, and, you know, they've kind of taken a step back and looked at everything, and they've decided to move away from the real names policy. So now you can use whatever. I mean, before it was even really difficult to use a nickname or a pseudonym or a name that you're known by on the internet, like Logan. You know, it's difficult to even secure that name, so it was just ridiculous. But now they're going to allow you to use, I guess, whatever. They've relaxed the rules.
Yay.
Yeah, I guess
I
less
I wrote a long letter to Google a few years ago, and it was like, hey, you should let people have more than one online persona and make it easy for them to toggle between it. You'll still know who everybody is, which is useful from a marketing perspective. But, you know, when I'm on this site, when I'm on YouTube, I'm this person. And when I'm on these sites, I'm that person. When I'm this other person, I'm some other person. Which is exactly the opposite of what they've been doing with Google Plus and Hangouts, because, you know, there was the case of the transgender individual who accidentally outed themselves by sending an SMS, but Google was like, oh, you mean to send an SMS? Let me help you by sending Hangouts. And their Hangouts identity was different than their SMS identity, and so it caused all kinds of badness, and that person left. And I think that whole thing is what is like, that one thread is what has caused all of this. So the one person accidentally outing themselves, thank you very much, because it has made clearer heads prevail inside Google on the ridiculous policy that they had.
Speaking of clearer heads inside of Google, how about some clear eyes inside of Google? Google has decided to put sensors directly on your eyeballs. They're starting to work with this new Swiss pharmaceutical giant, and they're going to be making contact lenses with sensors. And they say in the future they may even be able to implant these things directly into your eye, like, you know, like I guess almost like LASIK, but you put in, you know, an implant into your eye. Right now, these things are just going to give you information on, like, your glucose levels and, you know, stuff like that. So it'll be good for diabetes, and I'm not sure what the ones in the future are going to be able to do, but yeah, the technology works, and soon you'll be able to get contacts with, I guess, electronics inside. I think this is a step in a direction, but I'm not going to speculate right now, but on where it might go. You guys can do that in the comments if you like. All right, that's pretty much it for this episode. We're going to Quakecon right now, so stay tuned for all that footage. Should we make the hardware episode now, or should we wait till after Quakecon? What do you think, Wendell?
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. Well,
it's whatever.
There might be another episode this weekend too. Who knows? Depends on how I feel right now. So, see you guys in all the upcoming footage. Oh, go enter to win a car, because I'm giving away my car. Just go enter to win it. You guys know about it, right? You guys know. But tell everybody else, because you get more entries. Share it and you get more entries. All right,
yeah,
that's all I have to talk about.
Something BMW. Go to techsyndicate.com. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll find. All right, guys. See you later.